Hey guys, it's Chris, and welcome to Toned and Toneful, the self-actualization video podcast, episode number 66. Don't let the business ruin your craft. So in this week's episode, guys, I want to talk about something that is incredibly important when we take on a hobby, and when we take that hobby from something that we enjoy, that we craft, that we cultivate, into something that could become a passion project or something that could become a business. Many of us, because of the way that the world is set up now, Western culture has taken over the world. A lot of us want to create a passion-based business. And this is a great idea. We've all heard quotes like, do what you love and you'll never work another day in your life. Good things come to those who wait. And all those kinds of things that have to pertain to working on our craft and bringing them into a place where they can become a business. But many of us, in the process of trying to create finance out of something that we love, we actually lose the plot. We actually lose where we were in our story. And we forget that our origins are actually much more important than they seem when we start getting into the changes that we need to make to form a business. Because once we start to make a business out of something that we love, the input of others becomes a very big deal. We want their finances. We want the money that they can provide for what we're doing, the product that we're offering, whether that be music, art, or a creation that we're working on. Their feedback starts to outweigh our original intention many times. I'm not saying that's the case for everybody, but it takes a very strong soul to realize, hey, what I'm doing is what I'm doing, and I love it no matter what. Here's a few suggestions that I have that I've been thinking of over this last week as I've finished up my new song. And a lot of it's been because I've noticed the AI is starting to finally take, it's starting to finally take form in the music area. It's finally starting to become a force to be reckoned with. From what I'm hearing, the number one song in country radio as of a few days ago is actually an AI artist, which was AI written, AI composed, and is an AI artist. Nothing about it's real. And this got me thinking a lot about my original intentions, me being the 13 and 14-year-old who picked up the guitar, and thinking about those 25 years ago, how I was so young and I was happy to be that kid who had a guitar. And I didn't care if that made me different or if I was different in what I liked on guitar. So these are some things that I've noticed after taking some time to think about it. Number one, remember your origins. For a lot of us, we move to a place in our mind that we forget where our origins are. We so quickly move on to step by step. And as a musician, as an artist, we're always evolving. So it is not weird for us to actually want to move away maybe from ideas that we've had or feel that we're improving something that we're working on. But do you still have the same feeling inside? And I think that's something that we can all take away from that. There's nothing wrong with improving what you're doing to make something more clear, to make something more concise, or make it more complex and give it more depth. But no matter which way that you want to change the project that you're working on, no matter which way you want to improve the way that your art comes about, you still need to remember the origin. What did you feel when you first started creating? Was it joy? Was it release? Was it you being different? For a lot of us, being different's a big deal. I loved growing up in the era of, the alternative era. My friends dyeing their hair at school and thinking that we were making the parents mad. Me painting my fingernails black thinking, wow, this is really, cool. I'm edgy, and bringing a lot of these ideas about that were making me different from the average classmate that I had. And there was nothing cooler than wearing my headphones in the corner and rocking out and listening to Deftones and thinking that if one of my classmates grabbed my headphones and put it on, they'd be like, what in the world is going on here? And that just gave me such a rush. It gave me such a meaning in life that every day I'd be finding things and working on things that made me different. And to this day, that's one of the things that I still work on a lot. I really enjoy the idea that my music can be different. I really enjoy the idea that there's a certain era of music that I kind of focus my guitar playing around. Some people might call it nostalgic. Some people say that it has that classic 80s shred sound. It reminds them of video game fighter music. But no matter what they say to me, I remember my original, what I felt. And I don't let those comments hurt me or hinder me. I let them be just a part of my understanding of how someone else views what I do. I think the second thing is, don't try to make it a business too fast. Many times we want to evolve past where we are. We want to make it into a business as quickly as possible. And then we start to recognize that the business that we're trying to create, the way that we want to make this product for everybody, turns into almost a board meeting. It turns into like, do you like the cover art to this? Do you think these 3 songs go together? And you're asking friends who are musicians and non-musicians, and you're going out of your way to take a consensus on something that's supposed to be your artistic decision. Let me remind you, as an artist, one of the things that makes you very special is your unique flair. Your way of deciding something, your way of seeing something is incredibly important for the item, the product, the music, the art that you're going to make. And sometimes when we take too large of a consensus of people, it's really hard to nail down what matters to us. It's really hard to nail down what could be the most important part of that process. Now it's like, oh, your music sounds really technical. So what are you going to go do? Try to make something more catchy? If you don't like making music that's naturally more catchy, that's pointless. And for some people, it might be, oh, well, you don't have a website and you don't have this. And maybe you don't want to have a website. Maybe the way that you're trying to do your art, you want to play only live music. You want to only do art showings in person. No matter how you want to go about your thing, you need to recognize that that's who you are. Just like your origin. When you painted in your room and you were a kid, was it just in the room by yourself? Or were you always in an art class and you enjoyed showing your art to other people and maybe getting along with that? In that way, maybe you're the perfect person to do, a piece of artwork that's commissioned because you're really good with taking direction. Maybe you're really good at making a piece of music that's commissioned because you're good with taking direction. You're good with utilizing what you've learned in your experiences and bringing that together for a project. Maybe you're really good at taking prompts. But that has to come naturally. For some people, they're going to do their own thing no matter what. And that thing is going to be something that's different. That's going to be something that might not always align with what other people might deem artistic or that fits in their flavor or their taste. But remember, I always look at like how my friends drink their coffee. Everyone drinks coffee and, I cut back severely because, early in Toned and Toneful, I was on a full carnivore diet and I had cut out caffeine completely. And to be honest with you, I'd love to go back to that because I felt in my best shape and my best health. But now I do a keto diet and I have a little coffee. But the point being is, I look at how people make their coffee and you notice that a lot of people make their coffee differently. And in the way that they make their coffees, you kind of have to understand that maybe their taste is not your taste. I have people who I love in my life and I see them make coffee and I'm like, I would not drink that because I'm a black coffee drinker. I like my coffee to be the original flavor. I like it brewed at 185 degrees. I like a pour over. I like it with, if I can get away without a paper filter, I want to get away without a paper filter. And if I am utilizing it, it's non-bleached and then the list goes on, right? But for other people, they might really like a sweet drink. They might really like a 4/4 beat with a very, very pleasing chord progression that resolves very nicely. While I know other people who are have a unique taste. I have friends who will do an espresso shot and then have tonic water poured in there, and it's bitter and it's got sours and it's got these full charcoal flavors that are all melding together. And that's making it a completely different experience, and they're able to handle that bitterness with the sourness and what is now a chocolatey undertone to the coffee all at once. And they might be a person who listens to very avant-garde jazz, or they listen to prog music that is using very, unconventional chord structures, per se. But no matter what you choose to do and no matter how you choose to do it, I think one of the things that you really want to keep in mind is that your original intention plus your way of doing things and your way of seeing things is important. Because if you take it into business too fast, you start worrying about the finance side too much, you might make more money. And there's a lot of people who make a lot of money from the art that they make and enjoy it. But you have to remember, how close are they to their original intention? And they might be very close. Take someone like Guthrie Govan, for example. Incredible guitar player, probably one of the best guitar players alive right now. This gentleman was working at McDonald's when he wrote some of the craziest songs that he wrote. And he keeps his McDonald's name badge actually on his guitar. And the reason that he does that is to remind him that, like, he had at one point to do a job that had nothing to do with music, but it was a reminder that he had to do that in order to do the music that he wanted to do. And for many years, he actually played his gig as a bass player, not as a guitar player. But the guy's so good at guitar, you'd be like, what are you doing playing bass? So if you take this into mind, remember what your original intentions were when you started something. You can chase a crowd, you can chase a group, you can make friends that are in parts of different cliques. But if you're running around chasing all these people and you're running around trying to get approval from everybody, where do you really end up? You might end up financially full, but emotionally empty. And those people actually are just as sad as somebody who is, spiritually full and, maybe has no bread to eat. So we want to keep in mind what that balance looks like to us. And my third suggestion is make it a business. Of course, don't take away the opportunity from yourself. You want to be able to take your art, you want to be able to take the things you do and bring that forth. As a matter of fact, I believe because of AI, people who are very human actually have the best chance of making something really special right now. If you can put your mindset to do what you're really trying to do, to evoke an emotion of some sort, that can be whatever it is you want it to be. But if you can really take into mind what it takes to evoke that emotion and what it takes to be that, you will start to recognize that you are bringing something very special to the market. No one has your story exactly. No one has the same parents that you do. No one has the same siblings you do or no siblings. And no one has the particular exact stories that you've been through day to day, time after time. And you really need to utilize that for your growth as an artist, because remember that our art is actually a reflection of our communication and our storytelling. And if you have a story and you have a way of telling that story, you're already ahead of the game. You just want to be utilizing these things in an artistic way and communicating them in the way that you are. Again, Steve Vai, very intelligent man, very light, very flowing and psychological, but so is his music. Eddie Van Halen, very fun, very to the point, very frank, and just a great fun guy. Guess what his music is? To the point, fun, rockin' music. And the dude could just play, and he said the only way to real play is just to play. I get it. And you can kind of go down the list. You can take someone like Salvador Dali and look at him as an artist. Very quirky man, quirky mustache, quirky vibe. Look at his art, very quirky itself, quirky way of dressing. We have to remember that we need to align with what we are. Remember that a person 1 degree separated even from their self ends up in a completely different place. If you take your business mindset and you take your personal mindset, you end up so far divided from your internal self, you'd never be happy. So these are some things that I think that you should keep in mind while you start utilizing your art to become a business, or even if you already are working on your business. Remember to not lose your craft. Remember not to lose your story and your uniqueness in the effort to make something a business. We all want to beat the algorithm. We all want to have 1 million views. I want Toned and Toneful to have 1 million views because I want it to reach people and help people. But at the same time, I have to recognize that what we put forward here at Toned and Toneful is something that's much more psychological, and it requires work from each individual, and that might not click with everybody. There's a lot of people who want 5 simple steps to how to do this. And Toned and Toneful doesn't work that way. It's about our growth through my stories and through maybe kind of some explanations that I find the best way to be. Anyhow, I really appreciate you guys. I'm so looking forward to 2026. Again, I hope this last week has started off really well for you and you're, enjoying your time. You're spending it with loved ones and you're creating. Because remember, that is what we are about here at Toned and Toneful, is our creation and our self-development. So I hope you guys have another great week. I hope you enjoyed episode number 66. Don't let the business ruin your craft. And above all else, stay toned and toneful.